Hey, what up, guys? I'm going to give my take on the All Star voting here for both the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference for the starting lineups. It's already been around 15 to 18 games in the NBA season. Some games have been postponed, but in the meanwhile, we pretty much have seen the top echelon teams in the NBA, let alone the surprises. And when it comes to All Stars in the NBA, there's a few surprises, even on some people's lists for starting five of each conference for the All Star voting. Now, it is a 72 game season, and personally for me, I think it's way too early to start the All Star voting. It needs to be another month into the season, but we're here as of right now. So let me give my take about both in the West and East, and let's jump directly into the Western Conference of the NBA. So, number one, we got to pick our backcourt. Um, Easy for the number one pick. We are going to choose Steph Curry when it comes to this list. But if you're kind of looking at the rest of the guys, the two guys that are kind of close together are going to be Damian Lillard and Luka Doncic that I could see go either way. Donovan Mitchell, you got to show him some love. The Utah Jazz are at the number one seed at a 14-4 record in the Western Conference. So kudos to Donovan Mitchell out there. Besides from that, there's pretty laughable about the rest of the other players. So directly, Steph Curry should be number one, and then Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic are kind of up in the air. But I'm gonna have to show love, and I'm gonna have to roll with Damian Lillard from the Portland Trailblazers. Um, the Blazers right now are at a 9-8 record, 8 seed in the Western Conference, and the Dallas Mavericks are actually at an 8-10 record, a losing record, number 12th in the West. So I'm gonna have to give the nod over Damian Lillard due to this team's success of winning as of so far. And plus, when it comes to Damian Lillard, he's had a couple All Star game appearances, but I don't believe he's ever started in an All Star game. So this will probably be his first and his last, if anything. So we're gonna roll with that as of right now. All right, looking into our front court, um, this should be pretty simple and straightforward. Now there could be a player or two that people can kind of go back and forth with. So number one, easy. You're always gonna have to go with LeBron James in the NBA. And when it comes to LeBron, who's only averaging 25 a game, who's pretty much around the 12th leader in scoring within this season. LeBron James still does his thing. He's still the greatest player in the world today and will continue to be so. So you got to put LeBron James. Now, we're looking at the rest of the guys. Kawhi Leonard is definitely the next vote. The second seed in the Western Conference, and Kawhi's having a stellar season. And then Nikola Jokic. A lot of people will put him in the top three, top five candidates for most valuable player as of right now. So you're gonna have to roll with these three guys. Pretty simple. Paul George is having a pretty nice season after that bounce back of a horrific playoff series against both the Dallas Mavericks and the Denver Nuggets. Um, hey, big shout out and big kudos to Zion Williamson, who's averaging 24 points pretty simply in the NBA. But the Pelicans are at around a 6-10 record, 14th in the West, so they got to get their act together. And shout out to Christian Wood, 23 points a game. Wow. With 11 rebounds. Let's see who else. Anthony Davis is having somewhat of a downfall of his season, still adjusting with Dennis Schroeder on the team, who doesn't like to feed AD as much. And to where the Anthony Davis, LeBron James Lakers are around 11 deep. So you're not going to have LeBron or AD go crazy within these games throughout the season. And everything else is pretty doo-doo from here. So you pretty much got our Western Conference. This is most likely going to be everyone else's. I've seen a couple times some people have thrown Paul George in the mix and Luka Doncic, but this is pretty much the traditional starting five as it should be. Now let's jump over here into the Eastern Conference. All right, we're looking into our backcourt. Um, the East, when it comes to the Eastern Conference, it can go kind of back and forth with some of these players. It's a give or take as of right now. So when it comes to your point guard, I'm probably gonna have to roll with Kyrie Irving, who's giving you 28 a night. Still part of the New Brooklyn Nets with him and Kevin Durant and James Harden. If I'm looking for a shooting guard on this team to be a starter, you have good cases for Jaylen Brown and Zach LaVine. They will be all stars, but I doubt they will become starters within the Eastern Conference. Um, Shout out to Colin Sexton as well. I believe he'll be an all-star, but coming off the bench. James Harden. Now, since you brought Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant with James Harden all together, Harden's been sacrificing the most, so his numbers are going to depreciate. And due to that fact, James Harden will not become a starter in the Eastern Conference. But he still make the All-Star team. But due to his sacrifice, that's just how the game goes. So I do put winning into effect, but Bradley Beal is averaging 35 points a game for around 13 games, and even though the Wizards are at a 3-13 record, the worst alongside the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference, as of right now, I'm gonna have to show love to Bradley Beal. He didn't make the All-Star appearance last season, and you got to give the nod over to him. All right, I'm gonna look into the front court. These are pretty simple, and the first three names you see here are going to be the first three options, the only options you need to put. Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. KD and Joel Embiid are pretty much top three when it comes to MVP candidates. Kevin Durant, straight off that injury, giving you 30 a night pretty simply. Joel Embiid is having dominant night performances, and Giannis is still staying afloat, but still dominant as can be. Jason Tatum's missed a couple of games. Jeremy Grant is going to be one of the main guys for most improved player, alongside with Christian Wood. Um, Kudos to Gordon Hayward, wow, 24 a night, and then Julius Randle as well. See what else we got here. Disappointing season for Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, only averaging 16 a game, and the Miami Heat right now are bottom of the Eastern Conference at a 13 seed of a 6-12 record, which is not a good look. Jimmy Butler will not make the All-Star game if it were to start for today. But yeah, pretty straightforward on the Eastern Conference front court. I'm pretty sure 100% of people and fans have Durant, Embiid, and Antetokounmpo. When it comes to the backcourt of the Eastern Conference, it can kind of be up in the air. It could be Kyrie Irving. It could be alongside with James Harden. I'm fine with that. But with Bradley Beal's pretty much his team's been struggling, but Bradley Beal has proven that he is an all-star. He can get buckets, and that's pretty unheard of averaging 35 starting this season. So I'll give it to Bradley Beal. I'll give it to him. Jaylen Brown, Zach LaVine are not going to leapfrog over Bradley Beal for that position. I won't do it. But they'll all make an all-star appearance. And in the Western Conference, I'm fine and cool where it's at. The only one that could be kind of interchangeable for me could be Damian Lillard. That could be, flip for a Luka Doncic or Paul George, and who knows? Who knows? But I'm fine where it is as of right now. This is going to be my starting five for both sides for my votes. And let me know what you guys down below. Kind of give more takes of why and who, and we'll go from there.